Hello, good evening and welcome back once again to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral as we gear up for the Cheltenham Festival. It feels like we've been saying that for weeks and weeks, months and months even, but we are getting ever closer, and this is the last one where, of course, we will not be getting stuck right in to those declarations. So we'll be maybe making a few angles, finding a few big price horses in races we haven't talked about yet, but we are only 8 days away, of course, from that Raw returning and us getting properly stuck in to 4 incredible days at National Hunt HQ. I'm sure plenty of you have already placed your bets. A lot of the fields, of course, are already taking shape and opinions are flying around left, right and centre. But if you don't have opinions in some of the races that we're going to be talking about tonight, hopefully we can point you in the right direction with some very sharp minds indeed. Of course, this is live on YouTube and Facebook, so please do get in touch and like and subscribe to that scream as well, to that stream. Perhaps scream while you like and subscribe to the stream. It's completely up to you. You're in the company of your own home, of course. So do get in touch for the next hour or so. We're going to be trying to find some winners and some big prizes in the handicaps. That's what we're going to be looking for now. We've got the entries, we've got the weights, we've also got multiple entries, and some horses might turn up in races we weren't expecting, but we will try and find the best angles for the Irish battalions, because if you look at the markets, it could well be pretty brutal for the British trainers in the handicaps this year. But we'll find out very shortly indeed. My name is Ross Brierley. I am in the presenter's chair for the evening, and we've got a cracking panel for you to go through tonight's races. First things first, let's update Windows to the left of me and introduce our first pundit in the studio. And I'd like to have him in the studio for the first time. He is the editor of The Weekender, amongst other things. And he's also been very much in charge of the Ultimate Cheltenham Guide, which has been released this week as well. But can he find winners? That's the question for Tom Park.
Very nice to be here. Yeah, big question.
It is a big question.
Hopefully we can. Yeah, I've drawn the short straw in the handicaps, but I love the handicaps. Great little puzzles to solve for the big week, so can't wait. Can't wait to get stuck in.
You've got some big Paul Keeley shaped shoes to fit in.
Yeah, they are big shoes as well.
They are big shoes.
Yeah, big shoes to fill. Hopefully we can fill them though. A few picks. I've had a good look through them today. Look through last week.
Yeah,
They got it out eventually.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like it's shaping up nicely. I think we found a few. It's interesting you mentioned the Irish angle. I fancy quite a few British horses.
Do you?
Stam. So I think there's been a bit of an overreaction to last year. So we'll wait and see. The handicap has been a little bit lenient, I think, on the British runners this time round. So we'll see how it goes. Relatively confident. As confident as you can be for the handicaps.
Okay, there we go. Well, handicap has been lenient. The British might win a few back. Well, the other man in the studio, we were having a chat off just before the show, and we thought it might get even worse. So let's see what Simon Clare from Coral tonight thinks about the races, the handicaps. We've got a few more as well: the National Hunt Chase, the Bumper, and the Mayor's Novice. All markets dominated by Irish trainers in those as well.
Yeah, I must admit, I sort of at a general level felt that there might be an overreaction, and actually the British trained horses might do a lot better, and maybe last year was a bit of a freak. It was only almost when I was going through the handicaps, today and yesterday. It's incredible whether the betting market's overreacted, because at every one of the handicaps, the number of Irish horses versus British horses is weighted massively towards the Irish, and actually just the sheer number. I mean, where once it was almost like sort of 70 to 80% British horses versus 20 to 30% Irish horses. So almost the maths said that Britain should do quite well. It seems to have changed, doesn't it? Just the volume of Irish trained horses. It's insane.
The thing is, it's all well and good if the British trainers get have £3 or £4 or £5 back, and then they don't get in because the handicap's full of
exactly. That's right.
Horses.
And there's when you're reading, I get PA bulletins and updates on sort of horses and on horse racing, and it seems to be so many of them are trainers saying we're going to miss Cheltenham and go to Aintree, we're going to miss Cheltenham and go for the Scottish Grand National. Understandably, and whether that's just a good thing, that it's not all about Cheltenham, and they're rightly seeing there's some great spring targets, and it's we've often complained that everyone's over obsessed about Cheltenham, but it seems like that's being a bit right. There's sort of a writing on that as well, that there are lots more trainers and owners seem willing to give Cheltenham a miss and maybe go for sport actually easier pickings in April. So we'll see how that plans out.
We'll see what we rustle up then in the handicaps and those three graded races that we'll be talking about. Tom and Simon in the studio, and what's better than one Tom? Well, it's two Toms. Tom Segal, comfortable at home. He was in the studio last night. I feel personally offended, Tom, that you've gone home and not come in for the show tonight.
You should be, Ross. I deliberately didn't come in because you were in.
Well, it's lovely to see your head and shoulders, Tom. The rest of you I'm not bothered about anyway.
Well, that's my best parts. The rest of it.
Well, we'll maybe ask you why for a little bit later. But anyway, Tom, what do you think of the races we're going to be talking about tonight? Do you think it's going to be another Irish domination in the handicaps?
Every chance, haven't they? They've got loads of. I mean, the reason they've got so many runners is they dominate their ratings, don't they? They've got all the best horses. So I don't know. I'm a big believer in class in Cheltenham handicaps, and they're the best. If they've got the best horses, they've got the best chances. So yes, I think they'll win plenty of them.
Okay. Well, let's find out from an Irish angle then, shall we? We're joined by Katie Walsh on to tonight's show. Ridden more winners than us combined in our. Hopes, dreams and realities, and Katie Walsh, a few of us thinking that the British might grab a few back. Is it going to be a case of even more winners for the Irish? What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's quite open, to be honest. Good evening and hello to everyone. I think it's quite open. I definitely have a couple of English horses written down here on the page. But there seems to be a good contingent of Irish horses heading over, and they seem to be going over with a fairly strong hand in the graded races along with the handicaps.
When you're looking at the races, Katie, is there any patriotism for you, or are you just all about the form and the numbers?
I suppose for me, I mean, I never really, not really into the Irish taking on the English, to be honest with you. I just really appreciate good horses, top class racing, and that's what Cheltenham is. And it seems that the Irish have a very strong hand. I suppose it was always going to be that way. After last year, we had the best novices, and this is the knock-on effect from that. And that's not to say in another couple of years, tides turn. It's horse racing, and it could very easily play back into your hands.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's always better. Also, it's a generational thing. Like you said, you get a certain group of novices, then they go on to win the championship races, and then they solidify their position at the top of the markets, and then they're there to be shot at, and it all starts again.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean,
that's the joy of it.
Yeah, that's what we look forward to. I mean, I don't care where they come from. Just happens to be that the Irish seem to have the best crop of horses at the moment. As I said, I think the handicapper is giving the Brits a little bit more of a chance this year. I think half the problem last year was the British had no chance. I mean, certainly in the handicaps, I think they were probably just handicapped out of it. You make a good point. The Irish have got the volume. It's kind of swung all the way around now. We've got, I think the British horses that are there tend to have a little bit of class about them. We'll see. It's interesting that trainers are now skipping Cheltenham to kind of go for entry and stuff, but I can't wait. I think it's going to be really intriguing this year. But it's 1 year. I mean, if you look the year before, I think after day 2 it was just about even, Britain and Ireland. Then they kind of, Elliot had his all them winners on the Friday.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we'll get stuck into it in a second. Let's just have we normally have a look back at the weekend's action and then see if anything can impact the festival. There wasn't a great deal to talk about this weekend, of course, but there will be a few, and I'm going to come to you, Tom, at home for a couple, because one, you tipped up in the shape of Cormier. Another is the type of horse you have a bit of a soft spot for in Bundoran, who could go for the Grand Annual, of course, could be the next Croco Bay, who won that race at a very ripe age as well. And of course, under supervision, who probably won't go to Cheltenham, might well skip Cheltenham and go to Ayr. But you fancy Cormier the weekend? Any chance of following up?
No, none whatsoever, I wouldn't have thought.
Fair enough.
Look, he's running at Kelso, isn't he? I mean, it was a nice race for Kelso, great prize money and everything, but he's going to be running in a whole different kettle of fish, bumping into a whole different group of much better horses at Cheltenham, I don't think he's got any chance now. Nor Van Doren, really. It was really nice to see him win, though. I like those when those old horses win. I mean, I've been following him over a cliff, good old Van Doren, and he did me a favour on Saturday. He would have been an unlucky loser, actually. He got stopped in his tracks halfway round, and yeah, he's a great old horse. He's done connections proud, and yeah, I love seeing those horses win.
Okay, so let me know chance with those. Katie, just a quick word on another impressive winner from the weekend. The Flying Bolt Chase went to Gentleman de Me, admittedly at very skinny odds. He's not going to turn up at Cheltenham, but could we see a Grade 1 Punchestown contender potentially?
I'd say without doubt. I'd say that's the plan now. I imagine he'd have a couple of weeks rest. I mean, he came to Ireland with a big enough reputation. Hasn't always been straightforward. Can run quite free, and I think he got loose going down to the start in Punchestown last year and still ran well in a good handicap hurdle. Jumping seems to be his game, and he likes to get on with things. Got the job done on Saturday. He was good. He was impressive. And I imagine now he'll be wrapped up and you'll see him in a couple of weeks' time in Punchestown.
Yeah, Gentleman to be, of course, owned by JP McManus, who has 54 entries at Cheltenham, individual entries, 29 of them in the handicap. So let's see what he's got on the races we're going to get stuck into tonight. Starting off over fences with the Ultima, which, to be fair, is a race that the Irish do struggle to win. It doesn't stop them having one of the joint favourites at the moment, though, in the shape of Death Duty, who's 7-1 with Does He Know, also at 7-1. Frontal Assault is 8-1. The Shunter is 10-1. 10-1, 3 under through 5. Noble Yates and Imperial Alcazar, 12-1. I right, and bigger prices the rest. Again, there's a whole host of interesting entries at decent prices. Forward Askew for Henry Daly and have a chance on its recent form. Schoolboy Hours, from mentioning JP McManus, and various other Mead, Elliott, and of course other Irish trainers as well. But Death Duty and Does He Know are joint favourites here. And we'll come to you, Tom Park, for this first one, because you're saying about the British maybe grabbing a few back. This is a race that we go into thinking, okay, this is a penalty kick for us every single year, in theory.
Yep.
Is it this year?
I'm not sure this year.
You're going the other way. You're just trying to be contrarian.
I mean, I've put up two for this race. One's British, one's Irish. The Irish horse that I fancy is Noble Yates. I think he's just been laid out for a big spring campaign. He's run against Ahoy Senor last time. I thought it was interesting. I like it when Irish trainers pitch their horses in a race like that. Kind of experimenting, I think, just to see what mark he was going to get in Britain. I think he was dropped £1 for that run. It was a good run. He was sat out back. Ahoy Senor kind of kicked clear. He was never going to beat a horse of that calibre, I don't think, but he kind of hands and heels, went through the field, finished second. Just struck me as a horse who's been laid out for a big spring target. Okay. I wonder if they were possibly trying to get him in the Kim Muir. 148 he was running off. He was rated that day. I think he's 147 now. I think he's got a good chance off that mark. He's got some very good form earlier in the season. I think he beat Gabby-Nako and Magic Days, and step up in trips certainly helped him. Yeah, I think he's got a good chance. And the British horse that I like, I'm very keen on the Le Homme Preze form this season. So I think Pictori won a Grade 2 at Kempton last week. The form's working out really well. So I'm going to stick with it throughout the festival. I like Fantasticas in this. I just think that the form is going to work out really well. He won well at Lingfield last time. I think he just got up on the line, but he tanked through the race.
Yeah, he was idling a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was idling a bit, and he did nearly get caught. But he was given a lot of weight to the runner-up that day. I think he still looks a well-handicapped horse. He's in good form. But yeah, that form line with Le Homme Preze, there's a few that I fancy. The Glancing Queen's another later on in the card. Mr. Coffee. I'm just going to stick with it all week. I just think if you find a form line like that, it'd be interesting to see how Le Homme Preze gets on as well. Hell of a race.
But you're keen on that form line?
Yeah, I think it looks rock solid. That Dipper form especially. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a few that come out of that and win. I think Oscar Elite's another. Yeah. Come on Teddy. I think it's really solid form, and I think you'll probably trust that for the big spring festivals this year. So they're the two that I like, Noble Yates and Fantasticas.
Okay, there we go. Noble Yates and Fantasticas. And given that the Tom Segal's bottom half is better than his top. Maybe he agrees with the second one. Tom, what did you like in this lineup? The fantastic guess is a 12-1 shot for the British and Noble Yates for the Irish. Tom, what was on your shortlist and what are you looking for in terms of an Ultima winner?
Normally a novice, Ross. I think they get in lightly. They're under the radar, obviously. I like Noble Yates. There's the dog getting in behind me. Have you seen that? Emmett Mullins hadn't had a winner in 2022 until last week at Clonmel, and I just thought, I don't know what was going wrong. He had a lot of horses back. He had a lot of horses go well, but he actually hadn't had a winner. And Noble Yates ran sort of better than was sort of the rest of his string was doing when he was second to Ahoy Senor. I do think he's got a good chance. I think Sam Whaley-Cohen's going to ride him. He's got a good reckon around there. The other one I like is another Irish horse, Schoolboy Hours. I just thought that Paddy Power form is really, really rock solid. You got loads of winners have come out of that race, Birchdale and all those ones that won at the Dublin Racing Festival. He had a slight problem after that, and they didn't think they were going to make it. But I know he worked the other day, and he worked well, and the plan is to come here. So if that's the case, they would be my two. I can't let it go without mentioning the old boy who won it last year, Vintage Clouds. He's off the same mark. I had a little look at old horses at Cheltenham. I think if you'd backed them over the last 3 years, horses aged 11 or more, you would have made a monumental profit because they've had 66-1 as Croco Bay, I think it was called. It Came to Pass was an old horse. Vintage Clouds last year was 30. And I think people underestimate them massively. And Vintage Clouds back on the same mark. He loves Cheltenham. I think he'll go well as well. But I think he might find a couple of Irish ones too good, and they would be maybe Noble Yates and Schoolboy Hours.
Okay, there we go. Noble Yates and Schoolboy Hours. I hope Simon's making a note of these selections. We can get some prices in a second when we've got those. Katie, I'll come to you. Like I said, this is normally a race of the British win, mainly because the Irish don't enter many. He only had 2 runners last year, and 2, 3 or 4 entries is normally pretty normal for Irish challenges. Is there a particular reason for that, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I just think sometimes there's just so many races to choose from now, and I think people have a lot of options. For me, I think Noble Yates, when he beat Gabanecco in Galway, that was a huge performance, but I don't think his jumping is going to be good enough. I think he got away with it, and whether it be the last day and 4 runners dropped in, hunted around, finished second. He ran well, but pulled up in Nace, ran, he nearly got brought down in Leopardstown, then made a mistake at the next. Competitive, tough race, a lot of horses around him. I don't know, is his jumping going to be good enough in Cheltenham for him to get away with it? I don't know. I love Schoolboy Hours, but I think he might run in the Kinmure. I think he's got a huge chance. He got a peach ride off Sean Flanagan to win the Paddy Power, really good competitive handicap. I can see him. I don't know why I think he's going to go for the Kinmure, but I just thought that might be the race for him. Well, right. Run here, I fancied him.
They said last week, didn't they, that they're going to go for a bit of a tilt at a windmill and go for the Gold Cup. So I think if that plan goes ahead, then yeah, I think they're going to go for the Gold Cup. Okay.
Well, I liked him because he jumps and he stays, and he's such a good jumper, and he's a classy horse. Debt Duty for me, got his head in front of Punchestown the last day. He's 11 years of age, but since before that he hadn't won a race since 2017. For me, if I had to pick one, does he know for Kim Bailey? I just don't think Noble Yates is going to jump well enough. I think he's a class horse, but I'm not on his jumping. I think it's going to be too competitive.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned does he know, because I think there's a potential that he's going to go off quite a comfortable favourite here. Happy Go Lucky was sent off favourite for Same Connections last year and got beaten into second place, but he does have graded entries. Of course, he could go for the National Hunt Chase, which we'll mention later on, but marker 152 in this I think could be very workable. He's got proper course form, he jumps, he stays. I think Kim Bailey, some trainers obviously swerve in these meetings, Simon, but with all due respect to Kim Bailey, I think he knows the level for his horse. He knows, we can definitely go and win that race. And Happy Go Lucky last year could have potentially been a graded performer. I think, does he know? I could see him going off half the price he is now, because quite a few of these won't run.
I think that's right. And I think, well, you might end up getting a better price on him because people do keep focusing on the Irish horses like Death Duty. So I think he probably ends up could well end up representing value. And I mean, it looks a really good race. We've mentioned a few here. The horses that I noted down for money in recent days, Noble Yates, we've talked up here with Sam Whaley-Cohen taking the ride for the Mullins Yard. Fantastic Cass. I mean, that under supervision win on the weekend, although he's not going to go for Cheltenham, he's going to the Coral Scottish National. That was 7 winners from 27 for the Twiston Davies team. They're in red hot form, and he's been well backed. His form looks strong. Schoolboy Hours is a 14-1 chance. Vintage Clouds is 25-1. We'd love that to win again. And a couple, I think the shape of the race is interesting. So I think Froden may well run.
Yep.
That's a 164 rated horse at the top of the waist. Lost in Translation, placed in the Gold Cup for the Tizard team, running off 155. I think he's going to run here. He's 16-1, but you've got to just, forget his last run and hope that the good ground in Cheltenham reignites that. And I thought Our Power, I don't know if he's going to run here, but I thought he ran quite an eye-catching race in our Coral Trophy. And he's a novice, he's still quite unexposed. He was given a lot to do. I thought if they turn him out and run here, he's a 12-1 chance. But good starting handicap, actually. In fact, it feels very, very open. We haven't really mentioned Death Duty, and he's been well backed.
Yeah, I think he seems to be top of the main just because Gordon Elliott said, "Oh yeah,
he's the one that is well handicapped." That's right. It clearly means he's not.
Yeah. Well, the first horse that, alphabetically perhaps that he had on the list. Yeah. But okay, there's a few thoughts for the Ultima handicap chase. Then it was about 10 minutes on that. We were going to do about 15 on all the handicaps. So. Yeah, I better change that train home. Let's move on to another handicap chase and the Grand Annual here, the Johnny Henderson Grand Annual handicap chase. 2 miles, just about here for this race. And Brave Shashka, Buddy Rich and Cial Nage are 7-1 co-favourites here. Cursed Gleam is 9-1. 10-1 Amarillo Sky. Sky Pirate is also 10-1. Andy Dufresne 12s and Embittered at 12-1. And this is also a race that the British do pretty well in. Tom, it's a race that can go to unexposed types, or you can get a Sky Pirate like last year. It was the ideal race for Sky Pirate, and there are a few horses in here, Brave Shashka, for example, who bring in similar form lines. What do you like in a Grand Annual winner, and what ticks the boxes this year?
What do I like in them? The ones that can run the fastest normally. I like Amarillo Sky. Ross, I just thought that he's just a big improvement. He's only 6, but he jumps really well. I know he had a bad fall at Newbury 2 starts ago, but that was an aberration, really. He jumps really well, and I like the fact that he's got plenty of pace. He likes to race up with the pace. I think that's a big advantage in the Grand Annual, provided they obviously don't go completely bonkers. I just was so impressed with him at Newbury the other day. I know Paul Nichols thinks that his horse Time White will beat him. They ran against each other at Wincanton, I think, earlier in the season, and Amarillo Sky beat him, but at Time White's better off the weights. But I just love progressive young chasers that are getting better. Amarillo Sky fits the bill perfectly, and I think he's going to run really well. Okay,
Amarillo Sky then, who's a 10-1 shot for the Tizard team. When Tizard comes up, he's a turn to you, Simon. What's the news on Amarillo Sky?
Yeah, I mean, he's very bullish. Joe, particularly. I mean, they've got Elixir de Nuts in the race as well. I think they're for a similar rating now, but there's no question Joe and the Tizard team seem to fancy Amarillo Sky that little bit more. I think they think Elixir de Nuts could run well, but I'm not sure they think they've got so much juice in his handicap mark. And the thing about this horse is when the Tizard team were completely out of form, this is a very expensive purchase. He disappointed, got beat off 115 or 117, I think, over hurdles. But now the team's got back into form, he was able to almost start off at a lower level than maybe almost Irish style, get them off a lower mark and then get them on a roll. And he's now flying through the ranks, built up loads of confidence, and we'll see whether he's still well handicapped on the Wednesday.
Okay, Amarillo Sky then for Tom. Katie, come to you for this one. Again, the usual mix in these kind of races of your unexposed novices who've been beaten into 3rd, 4th, 5th in Grade 2 events, and they come here on handicap debut and you don't know how much they've got. But then you've got other horses who have been showing their hand. What stood out to you?
For me, I think this is wide open, to be honest. I think any number of 5 or 6 horses could win it. The best of the novices has to be Whaley's horse. He's been consistent. I think he's a great price. 6 or 7-1, is he? For me, Buddy Rich is far too short. I think he's fine, but can I see him win it? No. I think it's a wide open affair, and if I was to have a bet, I'd be backing Willie's horses 6 or 7-1.
Okay, yeah. But Buddy Rich, 7-1. It does seem be fairly put in his place for a 9-year-old off 144, but who knows? Tom Park, what's the Grand Annual pick for you?
I like Sky Pirate. I just think he loves these races. He absolutely loves them, and he's been running in smaller fields this year, and he's been running well. Every time I've watched him, he's kind of tanked through his race. He's a very quick and nimble jumper, which is amazing for a horse who I think ran in the Kim Muir a few years ago. So
He's had quite a few
events.
years as Sky Pirate, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he kind of got called all sorts of names. But he got the job done last year. I know he only won by a short head or whatever last year it was. It wasn't very far. But he's the kind of horse that is never, ever going to win by very far. Once he hits the front, he does absolutely nothing. But these big fields really do bring the best out in him. Look, he's exposed. But I just think he's the best horse in the race. And as Tom said earlier, he won about the fastest horse in the race. And he was close to top weight last year. He's £4 higher this time. I think that's absolutely fair, given he won the race last year. You watch back through his races this year, he's not put a foot wrong, even against the likes of Shishkin, and he's been running against good horses.
He travelled really well at Newbury.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of had him on the Grand Annual radar, and every time he's run, I'm kind of thinking, please don't go and win your race here, and I wanted to see him in it. So I hope that I'm not being overly biased here.
His RPRs have been 161, 161, 161, 161. Actually, all £1 higher than his Grand Annual win.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been running incredibly.
He's a consistent horse.
Yeah.
He's running to his mark. 2 Mile has been the making of him.
So you think he'll go in again?
I do, yeah. But the more I look at the race, I just some of these novices, I kind of think, do they really want to be? CL Dinej, look, he's got the class, but he's looked quite good over in small fields. But will his jumping hold up in this kind of test? You know, Sky Pirate's going to turn up. He's definitely going to be there jumping the last. Whether something a little bit better handicapped comes past him, but 10 to 1 each way, I kind of think it's a
You're going to get a run for your money, aren't you?
Yeah, he's one of my fancies for the week. I really like Sky Pirate. I just think you know exactly what you're going to get from him.
Okay, Sky Pirate is 10 to 1 shot at the moment. And you were saying about backing the fastest horse in the race. Well, the figures I use on speed figures, the top 2 fastest speed figures have both been recorded by Brave Shashka. And, you know, a couple of dodgy jumps at Warwick when taken out of its comfort zone behind Edwardstone. But we're talking about genuine Grade 1 horses last time out at Warwick. Of course, Sky Pirate ran in that race last year and then went on to win this. Brave Shashka, I think, battered Sky Pirate in its penultimate start. Not up to an Arkle standard, but this looks spot on. I thought Brave Shashka would be...
Yeah, it does. I mean, it was always the novice in the Grand Annual was always the player, wasn't it? I mean, Venetia Williams has had a good season. I think she had a quietish patch recently, but you know, this is an interesting horse, isn't it? Because he could have gone the Arkle way. I mean, Sky Pirate is £10 better off with Brave Shashka for that battery, as you said. You know, so that form could well hold up well, and they could both be in the test. I thought, just a throw, I thought Embittered is just interesting because he was a well-backed favourite last year when falling, 9 to 2. He's off, I think he's pretty much off more or less the same mark. He's been running in sort of funny races, graded company. I could just see him being another one which could get well back. But the more you look at this race, you can see dangers everywhere, which is the sign of a great handicap.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Grand Annual is pretty brutal as well in terms of the pace of that race. So there's a few thoughts then for the Grand Annual this year. The Coral Cup up next, won of course by half the track by Heaven Help Us last season, and it's State Man who's favourite for this one, albeit it's State Man that's favourite for every race he's entered in. 6 to 1, Good Risk at All 7 to 1, Unexpected Party 8 to 1, Winter Fog is 8s, Drop the Anchor 9s, An Epic Song 10s, 10 to 1 San Felician, and Good Time Johnny also 10 to 1 and bigger prices the rest. We'll have to speed this up, guys. We'll be here all night, so just get one selection from every one of us on the races we're going to cover handicap wise. I'll come to you first, Katie. What did you like in the Coral Cup?
Does the Devil's Coachman run here?
That is a good question. He's entered in a couple, isn't he? He's entered in the
He
county
is.
as well.
I mean, I absolutely love him. I think he was brilliant in Navan the last day. I think wherever he goes, I've always loved him. I think he's very consistent. He's loads of experience. He bolted up the last day. Colonel of Mustard for me, 10 stone 12 in his back. Lauren Fowler, second behind John Bon and Ascot. Consistent horse. I think if he was trained by someone else, he'd be a lot shorter. Ran well behind Sir Gerard and 3-Star Life the last day. You know, that form. And listen, he was beaten a long way, but he's a good consistent horse. And I think if Good Risk at All, sorry, I'm naming about 4. That's probably not what we're looking for. But,
as long as they all dead heat, Katie, that's fine.
As long as they all dead heat. Well, I think if wherever Devil Coachman goes, I would like to be on him, and I think that State Man is going to run in the county hurdle.
Okay, yeah, very well. Yeah, I agree. The Devil's Coach. I actually backed him anti-post as Supreme last year. The Devil's Coachman didn't turn up, but the performance he was putting in, so he comes into it off the back of a really good win. Coral Cup. What's catching the eye? Big price? I can feel a big price coming.
I like Camprond. I like a couple actually. I like Marie's Rock as well, but the similar kinds of form. I think the Greatwood was a really good race this year. Look, the winner West Cork, we'll maybe get onto later. Adagio ran Goshen close. The 5th Tritonic won a valuable handicap. The 6th won the Betfair Hurdle. Marie's Rock 7th. She's won twice since.
Cormier was well down the field.
Vortox has, yeah. Cormier I think was 15th. He's ran really well since. He won obviously at the weekend. I think Ballyandy was in there. He stepped up in trip and ran well. It's a red hot race. Campron was 4th, and he just got caught for tour. And ever since then, I thought the Coral Cup's going to be perfect for him. Clearly goes well on the old course. He is in the Martin Pipe as well, but I think the old course would suit him better. So I think he probably will end up here. He's been kept since. He'll like the good ground. That would be my only question mark if the ground came up soft for him. Whether he'd handle it. All his form tends to be on good soft ground, I think. But that form of the Greatwood is really, really good, and he was a real eye catcher because he just came there so powerfully, and he just got caught, and at the finish they weren't going away from him. He got caught for a bit of toss, so the extra trip's certainly going to be up his street. They clearly think he's well handicapped off the same
Looks
mark.
like they've kept him for this, hasn't it?
Yeah, it looks like he's been kept for this. McManus, I mean, I think he'll go off a good bit shorter than what he is now. And the other one I like is Marie's Rock, who was also in that Greatwood. She's down 7th. Remember Mares last year in the handicap hurdles? They were kind of cleaning up earlier in the week. I think Mrs Milner won the Pertemps and Heaven Help Us won this. There is something in the Mares. I think they kind of get left alone by the handicap a little bit more. I don't know if that's to do with when they're up against the geldings, they kind of have to get the £7 allowance, but they just seem to go in on quite a frequent basis in these big handicaps. And look, she ran quite an eye-catching race in the Greatwood. She was out at the rear. She's a big price that day. She was ridden out in the rear, went wide. She came through pretty much hands and heels. I think she finished 7th, but she's won twice since. She won really nicely at Kempton in a handicap. But yeah, I think she's well handicapped. They're the two I like.
Okay, Campron and Marie's Rock then in the Coral Cup. Tom Segal, obviously there's plenty of horses here. Coral Cup or counties, quite a lot of multiple entries. Is there anything that you could see dominating this race like Heaven Help Us did last year?
Everyone's gone for a JP McManus horse. I'll go for another one. Drop the Anchor. I just think he's only in one race at the Cheltenham Festival. This one, he's lower than he was when he ran. He was beaten a couple of lengths in the county last year. That was really solid, just behind Edwardstone. He's won a big Ladbroke hurdle at Leopardstown before. I think he's crying out for 2.5 miles. He'll do. You wanted one, you've got one.
There we go, lovely stuff. And I will put in Guard Your Dreams. We're talking about Twiston Davies. This horse beat Cool Cody on his last handicap start. Since then has been fiddling around in Grade 2s and Grade 3s in small fields. I think he will relish this test. So, Simon Clare.
Well, it's as if you knew the In the Know special, because our first In the Know special was 4-1 JP McManus to win the Coral Cup. And all the pundits, the Devil's Coachman 10-1, Drop the Anchor 9-1, Camprond 12-1. And there's others in there as well. So, the Shunter could even end up here. He's better handicapped over hurdles than he is fences. So, a strong entry for JP McManus. That's the special. Drop the Anchor, Good Time Journey. Probably the two best backed in recent days. And Good Time Journey probably for me. Tony Martin back. He won it with Xenophon.
Yeah, he had another winner today.
Yeah, thought he might go with that.
There we go, yeah, of course. It would have been about 15 years ago now. You'd be back in Tony Martin horses in handicaps, but he has found his feet again. As we go to the Pertemps for 3 miles, just about, this handicap hurdle, and what will have half a stone up their sleeve here. Will it be Winter Fog 6-1, Alaphilippe 7-1, Sporting John 8-1, Cider Burley 8s with Dunboyne and Panda Boy 12-1, Volcano, the big galloper 12s. I mean, there's literally no point in talking to anyone but you here, Katie. What ran at Fairy House or Leopardstown caught the eye running on into 5th and 6th and is going to be primed and ready for this day?
What do you fancy in this?
What do I fancy in this? Literally, whatever fits that category. I'll be honest with you. This is the only one I haven't properly gone through because that's my only tick box. I'm going to go back and watch those videos from Fairy House and Leopardstown and see what catches the eye. I was hoping you'd do the work for me.
Do you know what? This race is... The one thing I do know about the Pertemps is that if you want to get one qualified for the Pertemps, is it run in England. because the Pertemps got so badly supported in England. It was 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 runners, whereas over here there were full fields. People really struggled to actually qualify to get into this race. So if you notice any of the Irish horses going over to the UK next year, that's what they're at. I think that's a hint within itself. Handaboy won the Pertemps qualifier at Leopardstown for Mark Brazel at 16-1. Beat Winter Fog that day. Now first run for Emmett, he bought him after Punchestown Festival last year. Rocked on to Leopardstown and ran a cracker. And I'd say Emmett's horses weren't maybe running in. They're definitely back in form now, and they've come into form at the right time. And I'd imagine that this has been the plan for a long time. He can really get the job done. And I think for me, Winter Fog, maybe Tully Beg either. The big galloper has a lovely weight and bolted up the last day when he won in Musselburgh. It's wide open. I think you better go to Tom Segal for this. But I must say, to get one into the Pertemps, you have to run it in England, Ross.
Tom Segal, anything up your sleeve for the Pertemps?
Funnily enough, I like the ones at the top. I just think they're really classy. I think Cider Burley, Sporting John, and my old friend Ballyandy have got good chances. I think two of them are definitely going to use claimers. I know good claimer James. I can't remember his first name. Who's riding
James, yeah.
Yeah, who's riding Cider Burley. I mean, he's only £2 higher than when he won it last year. He was second in the Stayers. He's got amazing Cheltenham Festival form. He's won it twice this race, hasn't he? So if you take the 7 off him and he's on 149 or whatever he is, he's got a massive chance for me. Cider Burley. I think you can say the same. Sporting John's been a revelation back over hurdles. He's a Grade 1 winning chaser. And Ballyandy is another one. I mean, he's going to have Finn Lambert taking 7. Or I don't know if he can take 10 off in this race. I don't know. But he's going to have 7 off his back too. And he's a Grade 1 winner. He's won the Cheltenham Bumper. He's been a revelation at 3 miles. He's won both his races. He was incredibly impressive at Chepstow last time. The handicap has put him back up to 150, but that's still plenty short of where he was in the past. So I just like the ones at the top. I know Alaphilippe might be really well handicapped and has got plenty going from him, and everyone sort of saw him at Wincanton and thinks he's a good thing. I'm slightly worried about him staying personally. So I just think the top. Winter Fog's clearly dangerous. Emmett Mullins, I think he'll be well backed and start a shortish price. I know you were saying, does he know he'll start half the price? I think Winter Fog will start half the price he is. I think he'll be one of the shortest prices in a handicap. I think everyone's talking about him. But for me, I like the old boys at the top of the weights.
Okay, very well. Old boys at the top of the weights for Tom Segal. Quick word on Alaphilippe from you, Tom, because if you watch that replay back, there he is, second or third, challenging. Camera pans out to see the winner. Where's he gone? Finishes 5th. Lovely prep.
Yeah, I love him. I backed him pretty much the moment that he crossed the line that day, expecting that I was thinking the handicapper won't touch him. The handicapper did touch him. He got dropped £2. I think he's got a right chance. I just don't. If someone asked me who is the best handicapped horse at Cheltenham, this would be the fella here. I just think 138. I mean, I backed him in the Albert Bartlett last year, and he ran all right. I think he finished 5th, beaten a long way. But I don't know. They clearly think he's well handicapped. I mean, he's had one run. This is the perfect prep for a race like this. Get him qualified. He couldn't have been more eye-catching. He absolutely tanked through the race. I get Tom's slight worry about his stamina, but look, he was running past horses in the Albert Bartlett last year. He wasn't going backwards. He was beaten a long way, but it was a fair enough run for a young horse. I just think for a mark of 138, he could be a great one horse. He's a proper. I really like him. Good thing. All right. If there is such thing as a good thing in the Pertemps.
Well, I mean, it depends. JP.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of chat about Winter Fog, and yeah, I'd expect him to go off favourite, and kind of agree with Tom. I think he'd probably go off a bit short than that, but
Alaphilippe.
He might have to be really well handicapped to beat Alaphilippe, because he's definitely got plenty in hand, at least £7 or £8, possibly a good bit more. We'll see.
Okay, a good thing in the Pertemps, Simon. Anything from you before we go on to the county?
Quietish betting heat compared to, say, the Coral Cup, which has been the busiest one. And Winter Fog probably taking no chance with, obviously, connections of the shunter, which landed the big gamble in the plate. Alaphilippe, Paul Keeley obviously was tipping that up a couple of weeks ago, and that's been well backed. A couple of big prices. Ballyandy, Tom's selection has been nibbled at 20s into 16s. A remastered back over hurdles, looks likely to run here. He's been backed into 14 to 1 from 20 to 1. But this is still a race that will develop, I think, once the 6-day entries come in and we start to see the shape of the race. So there's probably something there at a big price which could still shorten.
Okay, lovely stuff. Right, and then on to the county hurdle and then any other business in the handicaps. Otherwise, we'll be here till the Supreme jumps off. State Man, who knew? Favourite, 5 to 1. Top Bandit, 7 to 1. West Cork, 8 to 1. Echoes in Rain, 10s. Allegory, Devassis, 12s. Adamantly Chosen, 12s with I Like to Move It and Party Central and plenty more. That'd be very interesting when State Man goes to the Ballymore and doesn't really know any of the handicaps, but he's 5 to 1. The county hurdle, often an absolute cracker of a handicap. Is there a good thing in this, Tom Park?
Hope so. Really like West Cork. As we mentioned the Greatwood form before, it's worth remembering Harry Skelton dropped the whip at the finish last year, so it was quite literally a hands and heels finish to beat Adagio that day. Form's worked out supremely well. Skelton is an absolute genius at getting them ready for this. He ran at Ascot shortly after the Greatwood. It was a bit too much of a quick turnaround then, but it was probably a blessing in disguise that he didn't affect his mark because he looks really well handicapped here. West Cork's probably one of the better of the week for me. I think he's the kind of horse, well, everyone's going to get all tied up with these Mullins things and everything like that, and I just think he might go off slightly bigger price than everyone expects, and everyone will just go, how did we let that go off at 8, 9 to 1? A similar thing happened in the Greatwood. He was really well backed, and then he big drifter on the day, so we'll see. I really like him. I think his form's right there. So
yeah, West Cork, Skelton in the county. Who needs form? Just go for that pretty much most of the years. He's an expert at teeing them up. Tom Segal, county hurdle.
I think Colonel Mustard will run here. I sat next to his owner the other day and he thought he might run here in this race. I thought he had a good chance as a novice in the handicap. I loved his form behind Sir Gerhard. I loved the way he stuck at it over the up the straight behind those two really good horses. I think he's got a chance if he comes here. And the other one I like is I Like to Move It, Move It. I Like to Move It, Move It.
There we go. You let us down last time, but you've got it this time. Beautiful stuff, Tom.
I thought he ran really well in the Betfair hurdle. He was the only one that raced up in the pace to be anywhere near the finish. In fact, it was sort of on the other side of the track to the winners. I know Tom was talking about that with Compron earlier. He was just sort of away from the other horses, and he would have been in front in another stride. He's a couple of pounds higher, but he just looks like that course will suit him better. The hill at Cheltenham will suit him better. So they'd be my two, Colonel Mustard and I Like to Move It, Move It.
Okay, very well. Colonel Mustard then in the county with the candlestick, and I like to move it potentially out of that Betfair hurdle. Katie, quickly, anything the county send out for you?
Well, I liked Colonel Mustard anywhere he goes, so if he's going to go here, that's for me. I thought a bit the same as Tom. I thought he ran an absolute crack at the last day. I think if he was trained by someone else, he'd be half the price. State Man is going to go here, I think, and if he does, I think he's going to be hard to beat. Might lack a bit of experience for a county, that might be the only thing. And slip of the tongue, Paul Groach. Thought he won well the last day, won with plenty in hand. I'd say this has been the plan. He's got 11 stone, 1 on his back, 12 to 1. And he finished third behind Tiapu and Quixless as well the last day. And Tiapu's second or third favourite for a champion hurdle. And Porrig is as shrewd as you'll get.
Okay, very well. That's one in the county, a couple in the county then. Quick word from you, Simon, on betting wise.
Yeah, I think it's quite a betting race at the moment. State Man, again, taking a chance with that. I think it could go off a short price, but we've seen these sort of horses get beat in the county hurdle. It throws up big price winners. And the one thing I think is interesting about West Cork is just Dan Skelton. For given the Irish domination, Paul Nicholls going a bit light in terms of numbers, Nicky Henderson picking and choosing. Dan, for having obviously, all these winners day in, day out, but he's actually got one of the strongest teams going to Cheltenham. He's got the likes of Protector on the Gold Cup, Nuba Negra, Third Time Lucky, Unexpected Party, and this West Cork probably one of his best chances in a race he's got a great record in. So, I think he could end up going off a decent price if the money for State Man keeps coming.
Okay, very well. Yeah, and his horses are fresh, aren't they? They've not been running in these big handicaps over the last few weeks or so. Okay, a few county thoughts then. We'll get any other business at the end of the show. as we've got 3 more graded races to go through. So we'll rattle through the next 3, and we'll have a quick look at the National Hunt Chase. Of course, 4 miles here for the amateur jockeys and the novice chasers. It is 3 miles 6 furlongs now, isn't it? I guess in my head it's still the 4 miler, but it's not. Run Wild Fred and Statler are 5-2 joints. Vanillier is 5-1. Farouk Delaine 7-1. Fury Road 7s 10-1, and Bigger the Rest. And Gordon Elliott and Gigginstown, of course, have pretty much, if they don't have half the field, they certainly have all the best form lines. Tom Segal, will it be Mullins, will it be Elliott, or will it be another?
Well, I hope it's neither of them, because I like Vanillier a bit. I know his jumping hasn't been great, but I think Derek O'Connor might sort that out. I don't like Statler. I don't quite work out why he's 5-2 when he finished about a furlong behind Vanillier at the festival last year. I know he jumps well, but not sure he's that good. Run Wild Fred's, I think, won 1 race over fences out of 11, or 11 or 10. So, he's got plenty of solid handicap form, but he's nothing special. I think Vanillier is a different class to them if he got his jumping sorted out. The other one I quite like is Pat's Fancy, who's a very strong stayer. Form he beat that Imperial Alcazar very easily at Chepstow. Got sort of rolled over by Brave Man's Game at Newbury last time, but I think that was just a warm-up for this, and Rebecca Kurtz got a very good record at the Cheltenham Festival. So they're my 2, Vanillier and Pat's Fancy. Okay. And how was that for sharpness and quick?
Spectacular.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Absolutely beautiful. Ruined by referencing at the end and adding 10
exactly.
seconds.
Ruined by waffling on afterwards.
Pat's Fancy then and Vanillier 10-1 and 5-1. Katie, obviously a lot of these horses might well go for the Brown Advisory. They've got this as well, but do you have a preference on the best staying novice we've seen?
It's just interesting listening to Tom. I quite like Run Wild Fred as an amateur. Gordon Elliott rang me and asked me to ride him. I'd absolutely love to sluice up in the Tri-Town, but he's probably right. He probably isn't anything special. He's a second season novice though, and he's loads of experience. I won it on a second season novice. He's a lot more experienced than Willie's horse. Only has a couple of runs over fences. Jamie Codd's going to ride Run Wild Fred. I don't know. Ballinier isn't a good enough jumper, and I mean Derek Connor's good, but Jesus, he's not Houdini. He's not good enough to jump, and he hasn't been. He just doesn't like it. And if he doesn't like it, sure, how many horses? I know I'm going off the point, but how many horses have we seen? Have been okay flat horses, and they go to jump hurdles, and they're absolutely super. They improve 10, 15, 20 pounds. This horse jumping fences has just gone back 10, 15, 20 pounds. And it's just too competitive. Run Wild Fred, he mightn't be the same class, but there's loads of jumping in this race, and he absolutely jumps, he stays. He's the one for me. Cracker Dulane is in it as well. He's a good horse. I don't know if he's going to run in this or where he's going to go. I can't imagine that Gigginstown would run the 2 in this. 4 runs over fences, won the 10 up in Navan the last day. Sattler beat him in Ace. That's right, but he was second behind Master McShee in Limerick. Listen, it's a lot of form in it, but for me, I'd love to ride Run Wild Fred. I think he looks unbelievable, very straightforward, and that's what you want, straightforward, 3 miles, 5. I wish it was the 4 mile. I hope it goes back to the 4 mile, but he's the one for me.
Yeah, he jumps, he stays, he's never out of the frame. Yeah, that's kind of what you need for this race. He's got class as well. He's obviously, of course, he's got Run Wild Fred, we've got Farouk Delaine, we've got Fury Road. There's another one at bigger price. Deal Kerr's in here as well. Frontal Assault. It's a Gigginstown benefit in this race, as it might well be for the handicaps and the Brown Advisory. Tom Park, you have 1 sentence in the National Hunt Chase. What's it going to be?
I agree with Katie. I like Run Wild Fred. That is unless Nichols has a change of plan with 300 through 5, because 10-1 non-run no bet is far too big, because that horse, his form is rock solid. I don't think they're going to run here, and because I need to be quick, I will go with Run Wild Fred.
But yeah, if he doesn't go for the Brown Advisory, he'll have a
yeah, I mean, if he was, I think Nichols, he's mentioned in the past he has been keen to run him in this, but I think the owners are keen to run him in the Brown Advisory, okay. So, and that's where he'll end up. But if he was to run it, you're getting non-runner no bet. I think 10-1's a massive price at non-runner no bet.
Okay, what would be the move, Simon?
I think, listen, Runwell, Fred and Staten have been well back to the front end of the market. It went to form last year. I think the first 3 home were pretty much the first 3 in the betting, but that isn't always the case. We'd be hoping for a turn up. I mean, Pat's Fancy, if you take out Does He Know and 3 Under Through 5, who won't run here, Pat's Fancy is the only British trained horse in the front sort of 10, 12 in the betting, so it shows how strong the Irish hand is here. But I think we'd be looking for an upset, but the money all focused around the front 2.
Okay, there you go. The National Hunt Chase. I kind of hope Fury Road goes for this. I think he would be suited by this, but he could go for the Brown Advisory as well. We've got the bumper. Next, we'll have a quick look at the betting for that. We've got potentially people are talking about one of the interesting matchups of the week. Facile Vega 5-6, American Mike 5-2. Not a 2-horse race though, is it? Redemption Day's 5-1, Mercury's 8-1, James's Gate is 12s and 16-1, and Bigger the Rest. I'm just going to throw this out there because some people like it, some people don't like it. You've got first person to say yay gets to have a strong opinion on the champion bumper.
Yeah, I love it. I
honestly don't know I was going to say anything.
I love the bumper, right? It's thrown up some great horses, really good horses in recent years, but it's also thrown up 2 25-1 winners, 2 16-1 winners, and 1 11-1 winner in the last 10 years. So you can find value. Just tends to be a Willie Mullins second or third or fourth string, which might be the one to try and find. And there's so little form to go on, so it's all about the rumour, the hype. It's great fun. American Mike was back to 14-1s in October. It was the first horse we laid. We thought, don't worry, there'll be plenty more will emerge. It's still sitting there at second favourite 5-2. But Facile Vega, who hadn't really been back to 12 post, burst onto the scene in spectacular fashion. She's now 5-6. He's now 5-6. So it's last few days, Redemption Day's also been well backed. I'm sure there'll be more that will be backed in the next week. But it's I think it's a cracking betting heat. Yeah.
Well, I'll come to you, Katie, as well for that, because 25-1 Mullins outsiders in the bumper. It worked quite nicely for you, didn't it? So is there any down the betting that could do a relegate?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be at the top end. I think when you have to look at the bumper, you just have to think what's after, leaves what do you not forget? And I came away from Champions Weekend thinking that Facile Vega was unbelievable. Form is rock solid, beat 6 winners that day. I mean, he looked like he could win in the flat. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you could see him run on the flat. He looks to me, he has it all. He stays, he gallops, he's very straightforward. The chat is good. He's extremely short, but on form, he's got better form than American Mike. And I think the other horse that they like a lot as well is the horse that's third in the betting, Tim O'Driscoll's horse. What's he?
Redemption Day?
Yes, yeah. Seems to be plenty of chat for him as well. And I like Sean Mulryan's horse, the one of Punchestown. I thought he was extremely good as well. They're all Willie Mullins' horses except for American Mike. But the reality of it is that if you're down there and Willie says to you, you can ride that, you kind of go down to start thinking, this could win, even though it hasn't been the pick of everyone else's. And you have to look at it with an open mind. And you just have to think, go back and look at what took the eye out of your head, what was tough. And usually you have to stay in a champion bumper regardless. They go such a good gallop. They didn't last year. It was different last year. It was weird. There was no one there. It was eerie. But usually they go such a good gallop and something comes out of the pack. For me, that's what I find happens. I think the horses get ridden within the van and it doesn't quite work all the time. I love to be riding something off the pace. All of those horses are going to be ridden handy. Patrick is going to be handy. Jamie will be handy. They'll ride them straight forward. But for me, I think if Willie turned around and said, what would you like to ride? You'd have to ride the top horse. He was just so good the last day. He's been unbelievable. Take the sight out of your eyes. There was such good racing that weekend, and he's the one horse you went, that was an unbelievable performance. Like an unbelievable performance, and he's the one you'd have to ride.
Yeah, 5-6 Facile Vega, who could well be a future superstar. Just a quick word, James's Gate was the horse Katie mentioned there, who bolted up at Punchestown and is a 12-1 shot. Given that 9 of the Toms shouted up, we'll move on from the bumper, and they're probably sat there. I mean, Tom's he's not even. He's sat back. He's put his feet up. He's put the kettle on.
Tom fell asleep. Tom fell asleep. I was talking too much waffle. Tom fell asleep.
No, I think he was quite happy. To be fair, he was. You crack on, Katie. You crack on was the word.
Or you, Katie, the less I have to. It's just how I enjoy it.
Oh dear. We did 2 hours last night, Tom, to be fair, so maybe you probably need a bit of a kip. The last race we're going to look at tonight then is the Mayor's Novices Hurdle, where Willie Mullins might have a bit of a chance, I think. Brandy Love is 5-2 favourite. We still got Allegory Devassi in there. She has in theory been ruled out, but who knows? Dino Blues 3-1 as well. Party Central 5s. LA Bell 6-1. Love Envoy is 8s with Impervious and Statuaire at bigger price as the rest. Talking about Mullins horses who took the eye last time out. I don't know if she'll run because of the ground, but Dino Blue, my word, the speed figure there, the hurdling, the engine that mare has got. I'm really looking forward to see what she's going to do, Tom. Very bad ground on that day, of course, so we're not sure what to expect conditions-wise, but I'm looking forward to seeing Dino Blue in the Mayor's Novice.
Yeah, not a race I've really looked at too much, like Party Central a bit. I thought she was good at the Dublin Racing Festival. Davy Russell will be perfect for her. She needs to come just right on the line. She's got form with all those Mullins mares from a bumper at Ferry House last year. Probably should have won. She had Brandy Love well behind her that day. Dino Blue could be anything. Don't know enough about her to consider backing her at 3-1. So Party Central would be the one for me.
Okay, Party Central beat a horse who I might quite fancy for the Martin Pipe as well next week. If it's not, well, it's normally Mullins, apart from last year, of course, where it was a De Bromhead 1-2. Will he get back that crown this season?
Yeah, I think he'll have the 1, 2, 3, possibly 4.
They might have the only runners.
I can't see Pat. The one I like actually is slightly bigger than the ones at the top of the mark. I like Grandji. I think she was going to run a very close race to Allegory Devassi. She fell 2 out last time. I believe Brian Cooper said to Mullins after that he thought that he had the measure of the field when she came down. Her race before that, she was 4th in a Grade 1 against the boys. Now, if you watch that race back, she was absolutely tanking turning in. Just got outstayed going to the line, but that'll have probably done a confidence a load of good. She's big each way price. I think she's 7-8-1. I think that's absolutely fair enough. The favourite, Brandy Love, I mean, she's going to enjoy going left-handed because she was jumping all over the place last time, but you'd have to worry a little bit about the way that she did jump last time. And at 5-2, I mean, you've surely got to take her on. And I just think Grandji looks a lot more professional. She's from the all-conquering Mullins stable, I mean.
And she did beat Brandy Love, of course, in a bumper last year.
Yeah, she beat her in the bumper, yeah. So, I'm just surprised I suspect this is a little bit of an afterthought. I think they were maybe aiming her at Fairy House, and she might run in this now that Allegory Devassi's been ruled out, but I think she's got a really big chance. I think she's definitely got the best form in the race.
Okay.
So, big each way bet.
Do we have a Willie Mullins to win the Mayor's Novice special?
We do have an in-the-know special. It is 2-1. Any other trainer other than Willie Mullins or Gordon Elliott to win the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, but by the sound of things, that might not be the most attractive in-the-know special.
You've got Dan Skelton, you've got Colin Murphy, you've got Harry Fry. So there's a few in there with chances.
There are a few in there with chances. We had 3 favourites win the first 3 years, and the last 3 winners have been 50-1, 92, 5-1. So 1 outsider, but the rest of them pretty much around the front end of the market.
Lovely stuff. Okay. And quickly, Katie, anything for the Mayor's Novice?
I like Party Central of Gordon's. I think she's tough. She's very consistent, battle-hardened. And I think she's going to get a steamer off Davy Russell. Brandy Love has to go left-handed, obviously, but didn't jump great the last day, and we don't really know enough about McManus's mare. Like, obviously, she bolted up. She was extremely good, but we don't really know enough, do we?
I said the only thing I know is that the clock melted after that. So, but you're right. I mean, they could go either way. But I'm quite looking forward to see what she does in the future, even if it's not in this race. Okay, that's most of the festival covered, I think. But there are, of course, other handicaps available. We've got the Martin Pipe, of course. We've got the Fred Winter. We've got the Plate. We've got the Kim Muir. So I'm going to give you all one shot. Other horses that might run in the handicap. I mean, like I said, there's multiple entries here. So one other horse, Tom Park, who might run in the other races that you would like to get your hands on.
I like Mr. Coffee in the Kim Muir. This horse has been absolutely crying out for a trip. And his form ties in with Le Hompreze, which I mentioned earlier. I think it was second in the Grade 1, over 2.5 miles. if you remember at the start of the season, there was a lot of chat coming from Henderson's Yard about how good this horse was schooling. And ironically, it's his jumping that's been letting him down. I think he's just been a bit too hurried over his fences. And he just looks a horse who's been crying out for a trip. He's going to get it in the Kinmure. I think Whaley Cohen's confirmed to ride. So he's definitely going to go here. He's around 16 to 1. I think he's a great bet. I think he's certainly well handicapped. And I think he's a 150 horse running the Kinmure. I think he's off in the 130s, 140s. So, yeah, I really like Mr. Coffee.
Okay, Mr. Coffee then. He's a big frame of a horse. Will he put it all together in the Kinmure? It might well work out. Tom Segal, any other business in the handicaps?
Not really. No.
Fair enough. Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming.
Not really. Listen, I'm trying to keep the handicaps as far away of my thinking until the day, really. I'm trying to avoid them as much as I can. But I like the Glancing Queen in the plate, and I like the Shunter in the plate at the moment. But it would only be guessing. Okay, very well. Thanks, Tom. Perfect. Katie Walsh, what else is catching your eye that might run in the Martin Pipe or the Kinmure or elsewhere?
I like Schoolboy Out in the Kinmure. I think that if Derek O'Connor rides him, he'll be very hard to beat. Okay, Schoolboy Out, of course, JP winner last time out in decent fashion, looks perfectly weighted. I'm quite interested in Say Goodbye, which I'll be doing very shortly. Should be doing now, really. It was second to Party Central last time out on handicap debut under... let's say a ride that suggested maybe a little bit further next time out might be the angle. So I think Say Goodbye looks a really big chance in the Martin Pipe. I think 2.5 miles will be absolutely spot on for her. Simon Clare, I want a price to Say Goodbye, so I could back her, but any other business for you?
Forever Blessed in the Boodles. I was quite interested in him because he started a hot favourite for the finale, and it looked quite a strong finale. I think Porticello won it, didn't it? And Harry Crow was so angry because he got hampered with and ruined his chance. But he's off a mark of 1.24, and I suspect they just looked at that and they thought, he'll have a great chance of that in the Boodles, albeit there'll be about 8 other horses who will be in similarly well handicapped. But I thought Forever Blessed for me. I thought the Glancing Man, I thought was...
Glancing Queen.
Glancing Queen is a horse that you sort of alluded you might be interested in. I was quite interested in her for the Mare's Chase, actually, because I didn't think that was too strong, but I think they're going to go for the plate. I'm not sure if that's easier or tougher, really.
Yeah, Alan King implied in the weekend last week that he was looking at the handicap. He thinks it's easier.
Yeah.
I think they obviously think she's pretty well handicapped, which I think she is. So,
yeah, I think the Glancing Queen's a certain level of sort of undercurrent of support for her. So, Forever Blessed in the Glancing Queen. I'll give you 2.
There we go. No, that's fine. That's fine. You made up for Tom Segal not having one. That's it. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, I'm just going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to try and kind of tie together what we've been talking about and sum it all up, because we're a little over a week away. We've talked about a lot of the handicaps. We talked about the National Hunt Chase, the Mayor's Novice, the Bumper, but everything's coming together this weekend. Of course, we've got the EBF Final and the Imperial Cup at Sandown as well. We might see a Langadan, for example, go and win the Imperial Cup and then turn up next week. We're probably going to see Langadan turn up next week as well and have a big chance. But just before we go, how are we all feeling? Are we ready? Are we excited? Or are we like Tom? Do you just want to get them racing for now, Tom?
No, I'd take the week off. Tom will read my weekender piece later. I try and have a week off now without Cheltenham. I've done so much Cheltenham thinking that I tend to avoid Cheltenham for a week, just because everything's, you hear so much and you just don't want to, you just want to go into it fresh now. So I'm trying to sort of take a back step and not get too, hyped up or too much, get too stuck into it at the moment. Just have a few days off and think about something else for a change.
Okay, so maybe a bit of ice hockey or American football.
Basketball. Watch my son play basketball and go and watch Reading lose again. That'll be my.
Yeah, and if that doesn't make you want to go straight back to Cheltenham, I don't know what will. Katie Walsh, how are you preparing for the festival next week? Are you excited?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's I absolutely love it. It's just top class race, and so grateful to be back there after last year, and can't wait for Tuesday. The honeysuckle, I think if that happens, Rachel Blackmore's going to take the roof off the place. It'll be absolutely brilliant. And I think we're all very lucky to be there. Thank God, we're going to appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Although, interested in ending of words there. Appreciate it. Might well be the one who ruins honeysuckle. But I hope you have a great week, Kate, and thanks for joining us once again.
Not at all. Thank you very much, and I hope we've tipped a few winners.
Yeah, well, I think if we back to more, we'd probably make a level state profit if they all kind of scrape home. Yeah. Simon Clare, you looking forward to it?
Really am, yeah. I mean, obviously last year watching it from afar wasn't quite the same thing. I think, but Rachel Blackmore was amazing, wasn't she? Both in the Grand National and Cheltenham, but behind closed doors in both cases. That'd be great for her if she could ride at least one big race winner in front of an absolute patch down. I think they're sold out Thursday and Friday. I'm sure it's going to be record crowds across the 4 days. Weather looks set fair. I mean, a lot of the races we're looking at now, they're all going to take shape, and it'll be so much easier once you see the final field and the weights and stuff. But there's maybe some of the races, there's sort of odds-on favourites, and people are sort of worried that the fields aren't that competitive. I think overall, I think there's plenty of depth, loads of all-rounders from Ireland. I think we're going to get another battering. I say we. I'm an Irish passport holder, so obviously I'll really be cheering on the tricolour. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay, and Tom Park, you ready? You raring to go?
Yeah, can't wait. There's all sorts of great matchups. Field sizes are a little bit shorter than you'd probably expect at a big festival like this, but let's take nothing away. Shishkin, that's going to be a hell of a champion chase. You've got Honeysuckle, Tiger Roll. The Gold Cup's going to be a belter. Can't wait. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and the Supreme Novices as well.
Supreme,
which is
what a way to kick off, yeah.
Which is going to be potentially an absolutely insane way to start the week. And we'll be here. I mean, you're great. I hope you all have a great time at the track. I'll be in the studio all week, hopefully trying to find some winners and analysing it with a cast of thousands. Tom, you'll be joining us.
Yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to the racing. It'll be fantastic. Won't it? Be a fantastic week as always. And yeah, I'll be with you, Ross. Except I won't be with you. I'll still be
no.
in my armchair with the dog.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not sure you exist, Tom. You might be a figment of my imagination. But thank you to Tom Park, thank you to Tom Segal, thank you to Katie Walsh, thank you to Simon Clare, thank you to everyone involved in the chat. I mean, we barely had time to talk about the races we were supposed to talk about. Never mind, get your tips out. But I do hope and I wish you all the best for the week. We'll be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for In the Know. There'll be a Good Morning Cheltenham show. There'll be Racing Post Live as well. Basically, just go on the Racing Post YouTube channel and just don't close it for a week. Job done. We hope you have a good time. But great advice, I think, from Tom. Take a few days off, take a deep breath, go for a walk or two, and gamble responsibly throughout the week as well. It's a long 4 old day. So best of luck to everyone. We'll see you next week. We'll be ready and raring to go for the Supreme.